What is going on, everyone? This is Ryan with the Loth-Wolf Pack, and today we are bringing you the fifth installment of the Loth-Wolf podcast. We are now shifting to an every other week model with our casts, so I apologize if last week you were deprived of our extremely knowledgeable Destiny talk, but good to announce that we are back this week. Today I am joined by the full Wolf Pack. We have Jim, Chris, and unfortunately Bob has returned. We lost Levi.
Hey.
We lost Levi. We get Bob back.
Bob's
so
back.
we apologize. We apologize ahead of time, listeners. But Bob, how are you doing tonight?
I'm fantastic, man. I'm ready to talk about some Destiny.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Bob's juiced up after missing a week. He's ready.
I got to get my punches in.
Yeah, it's been like 3 weeks.
It
Really?
has been 3 weeks.
No, wow.
We took the week off.
I hear you. All right. So Bob's ready to go. He's juiced up.
Hopefully I'm not rusty.
Jimmy Bones, how you doing?
I'm good. I was actually going to say I got like multiple compliments over the past 2 weeks that said, I love how you guys ragged on Bob when he wasn't there. And so the people liked
We weren't really ragging. We were more like speaking the truth. Like it wasn't like
I don't know about that.
The people liked it.
Haters gonna hate.
Oh, man. And Chris, you're good as always.
Yeah, we're doing great. Doing good. You know, Bob maybe brought the morale down just for a second, but we're right back to square. So I think we're okay.
All right. So as usual, we have a fantastic episode that you guys can expect. We've got a great topic that we don't really see discussed much. But before we get to that, we have some updates. And the most important update, we'll get to Nova in a second, but what I feel like is the most important update that has come out of the last week is that FFG, in true FFG fashion, announced that Covert Missions, the next set, has now been delayed until Q1 of next year.
Boo.
So
Yeah.
we were expecting it. People were discussing, hey, it might be ready for regional season. It might be ready for Worlds even. We'll see.
Mhm.
And on stream, they come out and say, sorry, no Covert Missions until Q1. Jim, you are the most positive of the group. And that's a joke for those of you guys listening. I'm going to start with you on this one. How does this affect the game?
To put it softly, it sucks because, I mean, anytime where there's a lag in between sets, players get bored, you see the same things. And then to boot, we didn't have like store championships this year. And so people are getting really excited for the regional schedules that were coming out and finding out where their regionals are going to be. And some of those regionals are prior to Q1 of next year. So to have this meta last from now all the way up until, potentially January, February, you'd have to assume January. If it was February, I mean, my God, Jim Ross.
I don't think we can assume. I don't think we can assume anything at this point, honestly.
If it's February, it's Jim Ross. By God, they killed the man. They killed the game. But we should be a little upset as a community because it's an exciting time for regionals, worlds coming up, and this meta is just going to be lingering around. So it stinks that our game is going to be stagnant for 4 more months.
So like it almost is the opposite of Convergence. Like Convergence dropped, everyone was excited. It was the first time that this game has ever experienced rotation.
Mhm.
And then there were no events, like you touched on. There were no store championships to look forward to. So there were no regionals, no major event. So we just kind of had this like home game Convergence cycle. And like Phasma never got her time to shine at like a big tournament. You know what I mean? Like
Mhm.
those awesome cards that we had before never got that opportunity. And now we get to Spark of Hope, and Spark of Hope is this great set. It comes out almost like what felt like early. And we had Gen Con, we've had Nova, we're going to have Worlds, we're going to have an entire or half of a prime season on Spark of Hope. And then I feel like when Covert Missions drops, it's going to be the same stuff. Like, who knows when they're going to announce store champs? Who knows if like Adepticon is going to be on Covert Missions? We have no idea. So it could be just, we go from this stale meta from Convergence where we have nothing. Then we have this jam-packed meta where it just is the same 3 decks or 4 decks for 6 months at all these major tournaments. And then Covert Missions drops and there's no tournament. You know what I mean?
It stinks.
Yeah, Chris, what do you think about this?
Yeah, I just thought it was kind of weird that for such a major announcement, they did mention, Andrew Navarro did mention, or whoever, Evan, whatever his name is, mentioned there's going to be an article posted. But it's kind of weird to me that they even mentioned it at all in that live stream. It was like a 30-second, clearly rehearsed, like, I'm so disappointed that we have to delay this. Yeah, it's going to be delayed till Q1, but the article will come out soon. It's like, just don't even mention it until you can like fully disclose everything you want to say, you know, because kind of just leaves a really bad taste in everybody's mouth until they actually say their entire spiel about what's going on, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I will say this treatment gets me a little bit nervous. Armada got this, and Armada is like, in my eyes, it's a dead game. I mean, I don't know how many people play Armada versus X-Wing.
I would guess probably a very minor number compared to X-Wing.
Yeah, Imperial Assault gets this type of treatment, and Imperial Assault's been dwindling. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not on the Destiny is a dead game bandwagon. I'm not going to say that. I'm not going to go that far, but
We should be nervous.
yeah, the fact that it's kind of a throwaway, and like you said, Chris, it was kind of just like, sorry, I feel so bad that this is happening. It was kind of like it's now being treated like it's not Keyforge, it's not X-Wing, and it's not the new hotness with all their Marvel IP. So it's like, yeah, it's going to get delayed, but whatever.
Right. And so, like, say if it does release best case scenario Q1 in January, then are they still going to stick to the same schedule and then release set 10 in like whatever, like late February, early March or whatever they're going to do? And then we're literally on covert missions for like 6 weeks. You know what I mean? Like, that just seems so bad.
It seems terrible.
When is Celebrations every year? When is it?
I think it's like April or May.
They changed it. So it's in Anaheim this year. I don't know when it is. Yeah, it's April or May.
Yeah, I could see set 10 being like around Celebrations time.
It could be Adepticon's late March.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
I mean,
last year
we could get a taste.
Covert or Convergence came out the week
Of
literally
Adepticon.
before Adepticon,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, it wasn't legal
Right.
at Adepticon.
Right, but we had that one sealed event there, but they didn't have it legal for constructed.
Correct, because it was a GQ.
Yeah, so so if they follow that same schedule and then they release, like I said, set 10 in March, you know, we're gonna have 6 to 7 months worth of Spark of Hope, and then a month and a half, maybe 2 months, maybe. Of covert missions, you know, like I understand they have to stay on schedule, but it's not ideal to say the least.
I agree, Bob. So based on this, what do you think we can expect? You know, FFG has to respond to this somehow. Like, we can't have maybe after Worlds, maybe before Worlds. I don't know the time frame, but we cannot have a meta where the only decks are winning are Jabba, droids, or Ewoks. Like, what do you think that we're gonna like? What do you think FFG can do to kind of counteract the delay? What do you think?
I just want to say first, I got like a verbal meme idea where it's Rey giving Luke the lightsaber, and Luke is FFG, and the lightsaber is Covert Missions, and Luke just tosses it behind him because that's what FFG seems to have done right now. But anyways, I digress.
I didn't know where you were going with that. I was gonna make a really like Levi comment. Like,
I was gonna say I gotta like build myself back up from Levi being here last time. So
I like the journey, and I appreciate where it ended up.
Well, but anyways, to answer your question, you know, I think that we're going to get a nerf. Like they're going to nerf characters, nerf like plots. I don't know. I think there are like probably 5 decks out there that are like legit and playable in tournaments. Like you mentioned, the droids, Ewoks, Afra is obviously still around, my favorite. And there's some other stuff out there. You know, I think will we see maybe like a point decrease on some characters? That's possible as well. It was around like this time last year that Snoke kind of got his nerf where they increased his cost because obviously Snoke Thrawn was OP, and at that time we had no sets for a long time. That
cut me at top 8, bro. Don't talk about OP.
I'm not discrediting you, but I'm just saying that was like they've done this before. They've adjusted points. Like we mentioned, I don't want to sound like a Debbie Downer, but we should be slightly nervous about this. I mean, like you all talked about, Armada, Imperial Assault, FFG kind of bounces to the hot hand, and if something's not doing well, they're not afraid to just totally abandon ship and jump into the new hotness, like you said. So hopefully Covert Missions comes out on time. I just hope we keep seeing like more sets. I mean, who knows when set 10 is going to come out, if it even does come out. And sorry, I'm playing devil's advocate, but I'm nervous for the game right now.
Yeah, I think it's a legitimate fear. I don't think there are any signs yet that the game is like dying. I mean, the numbers have been not dwindling. They went down a little bit. Gen Con was a little bit alarming, but Nova usually doesn't get that many people or as many people as the others. Worlds will be kind of the telling factor to see like where they're going to go or how much the participation in the game is going. And of course, We have a wedding that weekend, so we can't make the trip. But
Yeah, sorry guys.
no, that's the regional.
JK.
Mario, yeah, our buddy Mario's he's getting married on Worlds
To
Friday.
Princess
So
Peach.
yeah, of course. So well done there. Yeah, I'm not ready to hit like I said, I'm not ready to hit the game's dead button, but yeah, I agree. I think it's kind of alarming that it was kind of just like such a nonchalant, like, yeah, it's delayed. But to your point about the balance and nerf, and I don't know, Chris and Jim, you can weigh in on this in a second. I definitely think we're going to see something. I think that if they're going to let this game go and they're going to let this meta play out the same way it's been playing out and they don't do anything, I don't even think any of the characters are OP right now. Like Snoke was, or I don't think they're like too powerful, but I think they just need to do a shakeup and change something. And if they don't do anything, then I think I'd hit the panic button about them abandoning ship.
Yeah, I would probably agree. I mean, so off the top of their head, does anyone know when the Prime season in the United States actually starts?
It's the weekend before Worlds, I believe.
Okay, so it's pretty soon, like October-ish.
I think it's October to March is the entire season.
Okay, so with that known then, so from now until whenever the set releases, they better change some things or else, I don't know, I think that would be the really alarming thing. Like, it's one thing if maybe logistically they're having some problems with manufacturing the product and getting it to where it needs to be on time. But if they choose to neglect a season or a meta when they know that there's a product delay, then that's going to be really, really alarming. Like, they're going to need to change. They can't have droids win every regional. They can't have, Raylo, Jabba, droids, Ewoks be every tournament for the next 7 months. You know what I mean?
That's such a long period of time.
Like, logistically speaking, I know dice might be a pain in the ass. I think that's like what always holds them up is the dice. But I'm not an X-Wing player, so I don't know. How many times has X-Wing ever been delayed? And they have to build painted ships.
I was going to say, those little ships and like the Imperial Assault figurines are way more intricate than a dice, like a square cube.
Like, honestly, like how often is X-Wing ever delayed?
Yeah, I can't tell you.
That's a good point. I'm not really sure. But as far as like them balancing the meta, so to speak, I know Magic the Gathering does this with some of their eternal formats, a la, infinite format of Destiny. But, the Magic people are not afraid to change things just to see how it works. If maybe one thing is doing really good, they're not afraid to take it away. If something is not displayed, they're not afraid to put it back into the meta. So, that kind of comparison being said, if there's all these regionals starting next month and there's a regional every weekend worldwide from October 10th until whatever, I would like to think after maybe 4 weeks, if they're seeing a trend, they need to change something. And then change it fast. Yeah. And then let's play that out for another month and then see how that works. And then if there's more trends there, change it. If not, if it's healthy, if it's really diverse, leave it alone, because they have to keep some incentive for people to play in one set for, as we've been saying, until 2020.
Yeah, and like to get to your point about Magic, I know Yu-Gi-Oh does the same thing. Like they had their world championships or whatever, and like there were like 3 featured decks or whatever, and then the ban list came out and they ended up unbanning a card that was largely considered like Dragon Rulers was largely considered like really unfair, really degenerate, and they unbanned it and made it like a one of just to say, hey, how does this change things? You know what I mean? And then if it becomes degenerate again, they can just go back and reban it. Like I think FFG needs to be on it.
Yep. I totally agree. And they're going to have, like I said, they're going to have to do that, or else then what's going on? There's literally nothing happening until whenever the next set comes out. They're going to have to mix it up.
Jim, you want to weigh in or?
No, I can't really say anything that you guys didn't say. I agree. I guess we'll wait and see how this shakes out, what they do, and if the game can stay in a healthy state with a very stagnant meta. And let's see if their communication does improve. One thing I do like to add is someone brought up the point of we kind of got like the slide out the back door, or as I like to do at the parties, I'll try to leave without saying goodbye.
The secret squirrel.
Yeah, the secret squirrel. They were like, oh yeah, by the way, on this live stream, it'll be delayed till Q1. See ya. And so like,
yeah,
they gave us like the slide out the back door.
That's what it was.
And it just
to give them the benefit of a doubt, let's see what the article has to say, because they did preface there's going to be an article. So, hopefully they'll be a little bit more transparent and, let you know what's going on. But until then, it's really hard to say.
Yeah, I'm with you guys.
All right, so moving on here, we had the European Championship, and that's bad because it's in the U.S. But if you're a wrestling fan, if Gen Con is the Intercontinental Championship, Worlds is the WWE Championship, Nova is like the European Championship, and we had that last weekend. That was won, of course, by Honestly Sarcastic, who many consider to be one of the best players, if not the best player to play the game. And for those of you listening, we will have an exclusive interview I will be recording it tomorrow with Joe, the winner, and we're going to be posting it later on. So be on the lookout for that. But the top 16, we kind of saw a pattern again. And I don't know if I agree that the meta is... I don't know how to say this. It's an interesting thing because we're in a rock, paper, scissors meta, where any deck can beat any deck if they tech the right way. But we see the same 3 decks. So in the top 16, we had 3 Satine decks, droids, 2 Chopper droids, 1 Han droids, 2 Raylo decks, which one of those Raylo decks actually finished second place in the tournament. We had 2 Java supports, and then we had a spicy little Palp Conan Mahdi deck, which if those of you that were not following the tournament, he knocked out Drew Warren from ABG, then went on to lead 1-0 against Raylo, the guy that ended up getting second place. And the guy dropped after winning game 1. He had to drop in order to make his flight. So we very well could have seen a Palp Mahdi deck either get second place to Joe or beat Joe. So I thought that was very interesting, very eye-opening. People obviously were not prepped for Palp, but real quick, guys, do you have any comments about this? I mean, Joe winning really isn't really a big surprise. He's one of the best. And I mean, he's kind of been doing this for a while now. He's the only person to win 2 majors in North America, which is kind of crazy. But I don't know. Does anybody have any comments about Nova?
Just kind of glancing at the top 16. I mean, there's definitely, as you mentioned, some notable names in there. And not to play, glass half empty kind of thing, but when you see the good players just choosing to play the good deck, I mean, granted, it is a big tournament. You're going there to win. But, someone like Jonathan Magnuson, he's kind of known for playing off the wall kind of things. Granted, he did play Kylo and Rey, but that's still like a known deck.
Apparently his build was like bananas.
I'm looking at it right now. I mean, granted, he teched it out. Like he kind of made it his own thing, but it's not like he's bringing something completely unknown to this event, which he is prone to do. I think that kind of shows that, well, maybe there are options, like there is that Afro Watt Jabba that was in there that Bob had mentioned. The Ewoks are in there, more traditional Jabba Rainbow supports. But, the good players are playing droids, right? Drew, Kyle, Honestly Sarcastic, obviously. So
Paul with Forever Fett was there too.
Paul, yeah, that's obviously not a coincidence, and the numbers speak for themselves still at this point.
Yeah, I think that it's cool that there are 3 different droid decks kind of floating around. And then each of them kind of bring a unique style to the table. I initially was big on the Satine version. Then obviously seeing how well the Chopper version did. Big fan of the Chopper version as well. Have not seen the Han one in the wild yet, but obviously that one's doing just as well too. So I think that's the cool thing. I mean, people hate on the droids, but there's 3 different decks out there. So it's not like one unique pairing is continually taking the field. So I think that's cool.
I think that there are 3 decks. The Han deck is fine. It's not viable in my eyes. But the fact that there are 3 decks, Han, Chopper, Satine, that all feature R2 and 3PO, show me that there's more of a problem with the droids than there are that it's a diverse meta. I mean, I don't want to say problem, but obviously R2 and 3PO together are so good.
They're faithful companions.
Yeah, right. They're so good that you can throw in 3 different characters and still call it a competitive deck. That's kind of a stretch.
Because the heart of the deck is still there, just who is the sidekick to go along with them.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, I do like the Raylo showings. Jabba, I'm a fan of Jabba. Help is interesting. But yeah, it's just it is more of the same.
Raylo is really cool that exists. Like, it's been a while since we've kind of seen a quote unquote fair, just standard traditional 2-wide deck be super good. And that is really good right now. And I think that's pretty cool too.
It's so flexible, yeah.
I'm gonna ask a question. Do you guys think we were wrong on our initial take of Raylo? Because if people were tuning in episode, I think it was 1 or 2, we were all saying, Raylo, is it good? No. moving on. It's not tier 1, and people have done very well with it. So do you
So-
think our hot take was not so hot of a take?
Jim, why don't you, Jim, fill this first.
I think what we said was that it was a serviceable deck, and we said, I think at the time we were so used to something jumping off the page like the droids or some type of crazy ramp like Snoke used to give us. So when we played Raylo, we were like, yeah, it's good, but it plays really fair and it's totally beatable. So I think we were like, okay, yeah, it's good, and I don't think my stance has changed. Like, yeah, it's a good deck, and it's going to show out. People are going to play it. It'll win. It'll do fine. But it's not so good where it's unbeatable. And if it would have won this tournament, I would have been like, wow, that's crazy. It beat the droids. But I think there's a reason the top players aren't playing it. So that should tell you something.
It hasn't
Yeah,
won,
and
yeah.
that should tell you something, that if the top guys aren't on it, then it's not the supreme deck of the set. So were we underestimating it a little bit? Probably. Is it overplayed due to the fact that it was made to be played? Absolutely. And it's going to show out because it's consistent. You could set it on the table, and once you start to get more reps with it, you start to learn the rhythm and the sequencing, and it is very consistent and it has a lot of fun tricks. It's also fun to play. It's hard to play. It really is an exercise of the mind. So I think it's good. I don't think it's like outstanding, right?
Yeah, I agree. I don't think it. So, like, playing it a few times, it's a more difficult deck than I originally gave it credit for. It's a little bit harder to play, but I agree. There's a reason that Joe's not on it. There's a reason that Bobby wasn't on it. There's a reason that J-Mag was on it, but he played like a crazy version than what we're seeing. The reason I like Raylo, it's like the bridesmaid that's never going to be a bride, but it's such a techable deck. Like, you can put so many blue cards in there, and like people are putting like all of a sudden Qui-Gon Saber to Riku shields on Kylo, like genius. Or I don't have J-Mag's list in front of me, but there are so many blue cards that have been unexplored that I think it's like a blessing and a curse. Raylo can go everywhere and go any direction that they want based on the cards that you put in, but at the same time, it's very difficult to get the perfect 30 card. Like, what upgrades do you put in? What events do you put in? Do you want to run R2? I've seen Qui-Gon's Spirit in some versions. So it's hard to nail down, like, versus droids, where it's like, I've got 25 cards that are going to be in this deck. 5 cards is where I'm thinking about doing that. Those are the flex spots.
Yeah, right.
Raylo, I feel like I've got 10 cards and there's 20 flex spots. It's like much harder.
I think that point you made, Ryan, is maybe why we thought it wasn't as great in the beginning. It was probably because our decks were terrible. And now that people have had more time to play with it and have figured out the list, it's actually now more relevant. So yeah, talking about how maybe our Raylo decks weren't super tuned, obviously, in the beginning. Looking at Magnuson's list right now, I mean, he's got some really heavy focus on shields. So he's got like 2 knighthoods, 2 Luke's protections, triple threat to reroll into shields. So it probably just takes someone with a little bit more testing with that specific deck to really get it to a good spot when there's so many choices like you were talking about, Ryan, with the card pool.
Yeah, or you just take somebody with the balls like Magnuson has, just do it.
Yeah, that too.
Sorry for little kids that are listening to that.
Yeah, all the small children.
All right, so anything else on Nova before we move to our main discussion here?
One last thing I want to mention is I noticed there was a Vader First Order Stormtrooper that snuck in.
Garlitz.
Yeah, Garlitz. So as we all know, Vader can just do some work if he's feeling the right rhythm that day. So, it's cool to see him in there. I'll definitely say that.
I appreciate the Vader sighting, yeah, for sure. All right, so moving on.
Yep.
So the main discussion today, we are calling it the power of the plot. We're at a point now where we've seen plots got introduced during the Legacies cycle, and some of the plots originally were like lackluster, didn't see much that really kind of jumped out. And I feel like the best use of a plot right away or initially was the stairs deck. Ayla, Rey, Profitable Connections really put kind of plots on the map, and I think indirectly led to Ayla getting nerfed. I mean, she's now unnerfed, but now I feel like plots are everywhere. Like when you're starting a deck build, before it was like, okay, let me get 2 characters, let me add them up to 30. And a lot of people still do that. But now you can almost build around an entire plot. And there are a ton of plots that people can choose from. And the big decks, like we have Temporary Truce, we have Fateful Companions, that's just from this tournament. Gen Con, we had the Ewoks that won on AR using that plot. So My question to you guys is, plots are an interesting concept. They've been around for a while now. I feel like no one's really talked about them. We've kind of just accepted that they're a thing and we just kind of build and say whatever. Do we think that there are certain plots out there that are too powerful? Jim, what do you think?
I guess too powerful is an interesting question. Are some of them inherently better than others? Yes. And then you also have to look at the point value that it costs. So off the top of my head, I want to say that AR probably, in my opinion, has been the strongest plot they've ever made. To spot a vehicle and decrease the cost and pull it out of your deck and play it, it's almost as if you're starting with another dice. I think that's insanely powerful for a 3 cost, but it has changed the game dynamic in a cool, good way. You can kind of play characters that aren't as beefy, knowing that you're going to start with a vehicle on the board. And now with more vehicle hate in the game, it's risky to play it. But there was a time when it was super powerful. And so AR, it seems like it's like one of the stronger plots. And then off the top of my head, like obviously in the right deck, Faithful Companions is bonkers. Or I'd like to say in the right deck, we haven't seen it done competitively, but Order 66 is bonkers, just for the fact you don't even have to have that color in your deck and you get to put 4 red cards in your deck for only 2. So like there's some really awesome plots out there. I don't know if they're too powerful. That's a great question. Like, are they too strong? Perhaps. Are they really good? Yeah. And have I enjoyed them existing in the game? I think so. So I would say too powerful. We're getting there. If they continue down this path and there's no way to kind of monitor a plot, could they make something that breaks a deck wide open to make it too strong? Absolutely. But I'm going to say as of right now, not too powerful.
Yeah, so Faithful Companions is what kind of sparked this idea because, I mean, AR was bananas. When it first got released, it was stupid. I mean, we all were like, this is ridiculous. We can just find a plot. Desperate Measures has really kind of kept AR in check a little bit. So Faithful Companions is what sparked the conversation. But I'm interested to hear, like, Chris, do you think that any plot that we have, do we think that plots are too powerful? What do you think?
I don't really think so. I kind of think overall plots are probably a necessary evil, so to speak, in a game like Destiny where your setup is based on gathering points of characters. Naturally, there's going to be combinations where there's some blanks not up to 30. So, we saw it right away from Spirit of Rebellion with Palpatine, when the original Palpatine was 28 points for Elite. I mean, that was no mistake. So they had this envisioned pretty much from the beginning, some kind of thing like this, what they eventually
That's
called
giving FFG a lot of credit.
Right. Well, I mean, I'd like to think, I don't know why they'd make him 28 if they didn't think they'd do something with those 2 points. But thinking about armor reinforcement, the way that I kind of think about it is a lot of characters to go from single die to Elite cost 3 points to do so. That's kind of like a usual either 2 points or 3 points or 4 points, but a lot of characters are a 3-point jump to get to that next die. So I think they thought that AR was more of a fair card because you're sacrificing a character die for these 3 points, but then you're also gaining the die back immediately by spending these 3 points. What they maybe didn't consider was something like Shadowcaster, and then all of a sudden you have this insane, ridiculous, support with 15 mods on it, and then it's dealing 10 indirect damage. But, I think the idea of it is super solid, and to this point, besides Armored Reinforcement, maybe put Profitable in that category, and definitely put Faithful Companions in that category. All the other plots really, I think, are pretty fair. So I don't really think it's a problem. There's just a couple that maybe have been exploited in ways they didn't really foresee.
So like Jim and I played a couple games yesterday, and Any Means Necessary was like a big one. And I was playing Dangar, Django, Any Means Necessary. And I think that without that plot, Dangar is basically unplayable.
Mm-hmm.
He does pings, he does all that stuff. But with that, if I had 3, like he was playing against Qui-Gon, and usually Qui-Gon just shields up and he doesn't care about pings because he's just getting shields back all the time.
Right.
But with Any Means Necessary, if I got 3 bounties down on Qui-Gon, he was dead because the shields didn't matter because I was just
you
doing
unblockable,
unblockable
right?
damage. And I can remove one of Dengar's crappy dice. It didn't matter. And then I put all my upgrades on anybody that Jim doesn't target, and
For sure.
it's fine. So any means necessary, I don't think is a problem. If anything, like any means necessary and profitable make pairings more playable. Like Blue Hero, besides Raylo, probably wouldn't be a thing if it wasn't for profitable connection. So it has a place. But at the same time, I just think that to elevate a character like Dengar up into not only like unplayable, but now he's very effective, I think that it adds a little bit, maybe too much to the game. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying.
I think it's good because it allows characters that would not be played to be playable. Like you said, Dengar is probably not playable without any means necessary. Much like I think Profiteering is a really good plot, and with Lando, it's amazing. I know I've been playing that a little bit, but there's other cards like, Built to Last has a place in Blue Hero decks with having everything be redeployed. I mean, that's what makes Mace, Satine a viable deck as well. Like, we haven't seen Mace at all aside from Built to Last decks. I mean, right? Have you guys seen him anywhere else?
Yeah, no, definitely not. Well, maybe a little bit with that
I
Padme
played with him
thing.
at Padme, yeah, but that was it.
Yeah, Padme.
Yeah.
So I think another like really good plot that we're not talking about is lightsaber mastery. And much like Jim was saying with Order 66 that you now have 4 other cards in your deck, I think lightsaber mastery is awesome because now these 2 cards are set aside, and your opponent, if your opponent is wise, they'll probably know, or sorry, if you're playing against that deck, you have to think like, I'm going to have to play differently. I mean, he's probably got Fatal Blow there. He's probably got Pushing Slash. He's probably got I can't think of the other ones right now, but like cards that you have to like play around just because that they're always live. Like, you don't even have to think that it's in their hand because it's literally right in front of you. It's on the table and you just don't know it yet. So I think plots that allow you to bring extra cards is a very unique thing. And I think that I think it's really cool. I think they should try and do that more. And not to throw another point out there, but I think we're going to see a lot of interesting plot dynamics too with the next set with the Construct the Death Star and Destroy the Death Star. I mean, we've talked about those in the previous episode, and I think that that's going to be a very interesting way because those now allow you to have an alternate win condition, which now before it was just mill or kill, and now it's mill, kill, or make the Death Star or destroy the Death Star.
Right. If I could jump in for a second, just looking at the plots, they kind of really gained some steam in Across the Galaxy, kind of going back to armored reinforcement, but in Across the Galaxy, they gave us that one, and they gave us Double Down, and they gave us
another great plot,
Solidarity, and what's the one where you can remove a die? The one that you play if it 20 points or more, and they remove a die, deals a damage.
Yeah, Retribution.
Yeah, Retribution, right? So those were ones that like really juiced up the plots. Like until then, it was kind of like profitable or bust, more or less, in Legacies. But then now in Convergence, I think they're really using the plots to emphasize the subtypes, which is pretty apparent with, advanced training.
Yeah, it's true.
Faithful Companions, Profiteering for the Scoundrels.
Did we talk about the No Allegiance with the extra health?
Yeah, No Allegiance. Okay, yeah, that's Across the Galaxy also. Yeah, so like for the Han Kira deck, but like now they're really, the whole theme of the Convergence block was the subtypes, the Scoundrels, the Troopers, Bounty Hunters, any means necessary, etc. But, before the subtypes, the plots were kind of just vanilla good, right? Armor reinforcement, get a vehicle, vanilla, it's great, Profitable connection, vanilla, get $1, it's great. But now these plots that we've been talking about more recently in the last Convergence and Spark of Hope, these are really specific to a certain deck archetype. And like you were saying, Ryan, any means necessary kind of maybe gives a little bit of boost or some legs for a deck like Mono Yellow Villain to bust through some shields in a matchup where maybe it normally doesn't stand any sort of chance whatsoever.
Yeah. So my point with this, I kind of agree with you guys. Like, it's fun to play. It gives decks more playability that usually don't see play. But one of the things that I've always appreciated about Destiny is that a lot of what happens, and we've only seen the opposite of this a couple times throughout the lifespan of the game, but a lot of how this game works is rock, paper, scissors, right? We see that in the meta now, where Java wins, then droids tech, then droids win, then Ewoks tech, then Ewoks win, then whatever. So we always see these rock, paper, scissors matchups and trends. There's no plot hate. And what I mean by hate is there's no way to turn off your opponent doing 2 unblockable damage by removing one of their bounty hunter dice. There's no way to turn off Faithful Companion, even if for a round. So in every other card or every other thing, we see these hate cards or these counter cards that you can tech in to try to make your matchup better. I'm not counting desperate measures as a way to counter AR, but I'm interested to hear what you guys think. Are there any potential fixes that you guys would make, not necessarily to kill plots, because we've already determined that you guys like really like them. I like them too. I'm just trying to play kind of devil's advocate. But what card or what could we play, or is there a support or an event or something that could potentially turn off an ability for a round? Like, what would you guys do?
You know how like Mind Probe?
Mind extraction.
Well,
Mind
it
extraction.
shuts off a character's power action or special. They could make something like that where you put a downgrade on a plot. I mean, it'd be risky to run in a deck, right? But if it's in the meta, maybe they make like a 3-cost upgrade called like, you know, running interference, ha ha ha. But like not with the same. That was a good name for it, but obviously not the.
Nice.
Yeah, it's a good name
I'm
for
with
it.
you.
But like if they made like a card like that could disrupt, it could be discarded somehow, but just like how any downgrade can be discarded. And it would have to cost some amount, and it would also have to be removable, because if you obviously sat down across from someone who really needs their plot and you just throw this new downgrade on it that cancels its ability or whatever, that just wrecks the deck. So if they came up with something that's conditional, you know how they have those cards that say at the end of the action phase, discard this from play? Maybe they come up with something that shuts a plot down and at the end of 2 action phases, discard this from play or something. Like just something that could nullify a plot for X amount of time.
I think that's probably the easiest way, is something, you know, like you said, a la Vigilance, or not Improvised Defense,
right.
but Vigilance is probably the most relevant one, where,
like
you play
Stifle.
a support. Yeah, Stifle.
Well, the ones that end at the round.
Yeah, like either they trigger it and it cancels it, or it'd be kind of, maybe if they made more specific ones, like, like you said, Ryan, like if they try to trigger Faithful Companions, there's a Stifle for a plot. Or like Jim said, Mind Extraction, there's a Vigilance where it comes down for 2, your opponent's plot is blank. At the end of the action phase, discard this support from play, something like that.
Yeah, like a card where it's not going to be like a total meta call. So like a card that's a meta call, like where if you see Faithful Companions everywhere, it's like, hey, let me slot this in. But otherwise, it's just like a dead card, like Plastoid Armor or something like that.
Right.
Or
like it wouldn't do anything really.
Suit.
It would have to be worded interestingly, because like say something like Temporary Truce. Like if they blank your Temporary Truce, your deck is already built.
Like it's not gonna affect deck building restrictions or anything like that.
You know, I know what it would have to say. It would have to say, you know how majority of the plots either have an action or a passive ability? Like, for example, Faithful Companions, you have to tap it. By any means, you have to tap it. Built to Last, you have to tap it and exhaust it. So it could nullify any of the plots that have an ability to trigger an action.
Like your opponent cannot exhaust a plot for the remainder of the turn. Discard this card after the action phase.
There it is. That's it. Bingo.
And that would be cool.
And I think that's and I think that's fair. Like it's not a end all be all. Like the droid player still gets to do their stuff. They just can't trigger over the top. Any means necessary. It stalls them for a turn maybe. Like it's just a stall card, and that you're not going to run in every deck. But I do appreciate the existence of cards like that.
All right. It is interesting that, downgrades came out and they immediately had Unshackle for it.
Instantly.
Instantly, right. And now that I think about it, and we've been talking about the plots today, it is kind of funny that they haven't had any sort of interaction with the plots for 2 sets or, 2 blocks now.
Maybe they make a plot to block other plots. Whoa.
Your plot affects the other plots of everybody else's plot.
Your plot literally does not do anything except for just block people.
Yeah.
I like the idea of kind of like net trap. Like, you know how net trap is like after they activate, you can trigger the net trap to remove one of their dice. It would be cool if there was a card that you put it on their plot, and then the owner of the downgrade would choose, it's like after the text could say, like, after they activate this plot, remove this downgrade to cancel that activation.
Ooh, yeah.
Or to cancel its effect.
But it's like thematically, a plot is like an idea. Like it's like a thing.
Yeah, I know, but okay.
So
well,
it's hard to downgrade.
Thematically,
it's hard to downgrade an idea. Yeah, I could throw a net trap on Ray.
Well, you stolen intel or conflicting reports or
card blockery.
Yeah, just like blockery
Conflicting
stuff.
reports.
So you could,
I like that one.
yeah, I don't know, like
it's a picture of a CNN anchor and a Fox News anchor.
yeah. So I guess like it would be cool if it was like a downgrade like that. Like they could tap the plot, and if it's at a critical time, if it's early in the game, maybe you let them do it.
Mhm.
But then like you got that one time where you can trigger your downgrade to say, oh, cancel its effects.
For sure. I think maybe to kind of bring this back together, there's definitely some space they should be exploring for the game to have some sort of interaction with, trying to prevent your opponent's plot. But it does seem kind of tricky to do, and there are a lot of different ways that they could do it. But it'll be interesting to see if that does pop up in the future, because it seems like plots are here to stay.
So this is like trying to predict the future. If FFG were to take a look at droids and try to hit droids, do you think that we can see the first ever plot point increase in Faithful Companions?
I would definitely think so. But, that doesn't stop Chopper.
That's correct. So it doesn't hit everybody.
The plot's not the problem.
No, so we were talking about it before precast. We were saying that if there was going to be, this is off of plot, but if there was going to be a potential droid nerf, that one of them could be force the R2 player to pay a resource regardless of the spot to switch a die to any side. So spot R2 or spot 3PO and pay a resource to flip any die to any side.
So reminiscent of the Maul lightsaber nerf.
Yeah.
Yeah, that I feel like that's par.
I was just going to say, like, they're the two best buddies. He should only be able to spike R2's die. And realistically, like, it should be after you activate C-3PO, you may resolve one of R2's dice, increasing its value. Or you may resolve a die if it's R2-D2's die, increases value by 1. That should be it, because they're the best buddies. They're the faithful companions.
I don't hate that idea, but I feel like that nukes droid decks.
And nukes a deck. Who cares? It's what it is. It's thematic, and it's what it should be.
Yeah, but then Jabba just rises up.
It's all right. Let's fix it to make it what it should be.
Alrighty, so we are moving on. Jim Trabeck has a fun game, as always, before we get to our closing remarks.
Baby.
So let's turn it over to Sir Jim. Jim, are you ready?
All right, so is that like in the thing? Can you hear it?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's amazing. That's fantastic. Okay, so the game today is Chris, fix me again. When you read a character card, it has their title, and then under their name, it says something like cool, and that is called their subtitle.
Subtitle is correct. Yes, sir.
Okay, so I'm going to read a subtitle, and you're going to try to tell me who the character is, and we'll take turns. And with the stealing approach. So
okay, yeah.
Just like how the other time, instead of buzzing in, so we don't have Bob complain for like 8 days about
he's gonna complain.
It was a true valid argument.
Him getting buzzed in. We're gonna let Bob lead off.
All right, here we go.
Followed by Ryan and then Chris. All right, Bob, here we go. I'm going to read you the subtitle, and you're going to try to tell me the character. If you get it wrong, then it will be Ryan's option to steal. If Ryan gets it wrong, it'll be Chris' option to steal, and then that rotation will go on.
Okay.
All right, here we go. The subtitle is called Headstrong Renegade. Headstrong Renegade.
Yikes.
Oh, wow. I'm going to go with Kylo Ren.
It is not Kylo Ren.
Yeah.
Good guess. Ryan, you can steal.
Are we doing standard or infinite?
A standard. And don't look on your computers. Don't be
you
scummy.
should have done infinite, man. We should have some deep cuts here.
I'm not yet.
Anyways,
This is Headstrong Renegade's a pretty deep
All right, what's
cut.
it called? Headstrong Renegade?
Yeah, but Ryan is
That's
up.
right. I'm just making sure.
Enfys Nest.
It is not Enfys Nest.
That's a good guess, too.
Chris.
Ooh, I can steal here?
You can steal.
All right, my guess, Headstrong Renegade is Val.
That is correct.
Whoa.
Yes.
Oh my God.
Wow. How did you
that's
get
impressive.
Jeez.
Don't worry about it, Bob. Don't worry about it.
Okay, so
Val.
1 point awarded to Chris. Ryan
Well
gets
done.
to lead us off on the next one. Well done, Chris.
Thank you.
All right, this one is my
Well,
personal
I had two jabronis take away 2 wrong answers before me, so
Yeah.
Hey, you're welcome.
Yeah.
This is my favorite subtitle. Ready? Major Domo.
Major Domo.
That is Bib Fortuna.
That is correct.
Wow.
That is correct. He is the Major Domo.
He is.
See,
Which
that one
I
I
had
had
to-
zero idea.
Yeah.
I don't even know what that word. What does Major Domo mean?
Ryan
It's
doesn't
like
even know.
it is. It's a hut like slave guy.
No, I think it means
Oh.
like the
No.
the leader of like a
It's
house or
not.
something.
It's like the slave of the hut.
Oh, okay. So Major Domo. Good
Oh,
job,
yeah.
Ryan. All right. Now Chris gets to lead off.
Yep. Okay.
Chris, the subtitle is Reckless Warrior.
Reckless warrior. I'm gonna say Savage Oppress.
That is correct.
Nicely
Ooh.
done.
Dude, this dude is on fire. Oh my
And
god.
Chris is on fire
Yeah.
I
today.
wasn't going Savage
2 for
with
2,
that.
boys.
That was a good one.
All right. We're back to Bob.
Yeah.
Bob, this subtitle is Resourceful Cut Purse.
Cut purse.
Yeah, it says Resourceful Cut Purse.
Oh my gosh. I don't even know what that's referring to.
You're a man who likes a good satchel, Bob. So
I-
you should know this.
I'm gonna go with Rose.
It is not Rose.
It's definitely not Rose.
I don't know.
She's actually a skilled mechanic. She's the skilled
Oh my
mechanic.
god.
That's
Yeah.
true.
A cut person is a
Right.
thief. A cut person is a thief. That's what.
Yeah,
a cut person
Ryan, the steal goes to you.
is. Yeah, a resourceful cut purse, huh?
And
It's
no
not.
Googling.
He's like looking at
I'm
his
not
phone.
Googling.
Oh, wait,
No, I'm definitely
resourceful
not.
Cut purse.
It's got to be a yellow villain. A resourceful cut purse, huh?
Good googly moogly.
I looked it up because I'm out.
Of course. I'm gonna say.
I'm gonna give you 5 seconds here.
Oh God.
Shot
He's on the clock.
It's not him, but I'm gonna say it. It's Beckett is thief for hire, but I'm gonna say Tobias Beckett.
It is not Tobias Beckett. Now,
Good
Chris
guess.
with a chance to pull way ahead.
All right. Say it one more time.
Resourceful Cut Purse.
Hondo Onaka.
It is not Hondo Onaka.
Oh.
Isn't he the respected businessman or something?
Yeah, he's
Yeah,
a respected
you're
businessman.
right.
Come on now.
Maybe. Okay.
Ah.
The answer, no points, but the answer was Ezra Bridger, the new yellow one.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Jesus, I haven't even looked. I threw all those cards away.
Yeah. When he's on the little bike, right? On that
Yeah,
one.
he's on the speeder bike.
Oh,
Okay,
God.
so
All right,
Ryan,
all right.
Ryan, you got first dibs. This is the subtype Loyal Strategist.
Loyal strategist, huh?
Loyal.
These are
Um,
some deep cuts here.
They are.
Well.
You asked for the deep cuts pre-show, and I'm.
I
giving
like.
them to
Yeah,
you.
it's true. It's true. We asked for it.
Is that Bale Organa?
It is not Bail Organa. I think
Um,
he is Alderanian senator or something like that. I think. Okay,
Loyal strategist.
we're passing it down to Chris. Loyal,
Loyal what?
strategist.
Loyal strategist. Man,
Uh-huh.
top of my head, I don't even have anything here. I'm kind of leaning towards the red hero as well
That's what I thought.
with Ryan.
Yeah.
Man, I don't want to hold up the clock here. I can't even picture any
If-
red heroes in my head.
I was gonna
right
say
now.
if you can't absolutely come up with something, I guess you can say pass, but
Yeah,
you might as well.
just for the sake, I'm just gonna
Yeah.
I'm gonna pass.
Okay.
yeah.
So Bob with the option to the
Um,
last person to steal.
I have I think a good guess. I don't know if it's right.
Okay.
I'm gonna go with Rex.
It is not.
No, he's
Rex.
clone. He's clone captain, bro.
Clone commander.
Oh,
Or
how
clone
silly
captain.
me. Oh,
This,
clone captain.
but you are on the right track because this is clone commander Cody.
Oh,
Wow.
So
Wow.
You
Wow.
are on the right track.
Loyal. What is it? Loyal what?
He's
Loyal
strategist.
strategist.
Apparently, Cody was a strategy guy.
All right.
I didn't
All
know
right.
that.
Okay.
What's the
that
score?
was- so it's
It's
2 Chris,
2-1-0.
1 Ryan, 0 Bob. Chris, you
Oh,
get to lead,
Bob's.
you get to
All right.
you get to lead us off here, Chris.
All right. All right.
This subtype is Soldier of Necessity.
Finn.
No, damn it! I knew that one.
Ooh.
Wow.
Ooh, he gets it. Nice
Yeah,
job.
I
Fired that one off.
I
Nice
knew
and
that
hot.
one.
Nobody
I knew
plays
Ryan
this
knew that
Finn.
one.
Nobody
Shot from the
plays
hip.
this Finn card.
He has a plus 3 indirect, right?
He's ass.
No, he's got a +2 range.
He's got a 3 indirect
He's got a
regular
indirect.
3 indie.
and a special that
Nobody
lets you
play-
move stuff.
Yeah, move a damage
Yeah.
over.
Move a damage from a card to another card and play. Nobody plays
Yeah,
this
yeah.
guy.
It's true.
Okay.
How many
He's expensive
What?
though. Isn't
Yeah,
he?
what's his 16?
So, Chris, Chris,
Yeah,
he
16.
is 16. All right, Chris has 3, Ryan 1, Bob 0. So Chris is looking like he could be our winner, but we've seen crazier things happen in the.
Hey,
in the-
Bob,
in the
you gonna
game
get on
this
the board
game.
here, or,
I'm working
or
on
what's
it,
going
dude.
on?
All right,
Working.
Bob, ready. The subtype says true believer.
Okay.
Man,
True believer.
it's probably blue. I'm gonna go. I think Lor Santeca is like mysterious
No, that was
hermit.
it. No, it's Lor Santeca.
Is it Lor Santeca?
Bob, is
Yeah.
that your answer?
Yeah, I'll say Lor Santeca.
That is correct. It is
Yes.
Lord Santeca.
Mysterious
He is-
Oh, the hermit's
Mysterious
Obi-Wan.
Hermit is
It's
Obi-Wan.
Yeah.
He is the true believer.
Yes.
That was
He
my
is.
that was my steal.
Okay, Ryan, we're down to the final 2. So it goes Ryan and then Chris and then it's
I have to
it's
get this,
Gabe.
and then I need a steal. Yeah.
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 And then if we end up with a tie, then we'll do a bonus. All right, Ryan, the subtitle is Jedi Protector.
Who's the fish guy?
The fish guy.
Yeah, what's his name? That's the answer. The fish
That
guy.
probably is the answer.
The green fish guy. What's his name?
Oh my god.
It's not
What?
Plo Koon. It's the green fish guy. The guy that blocks the. He's got a 1,
Oh
a
my.
2, a 3 for 1.
His
I
name
know who
is
it-
Kit Fisto.
Yeah, that's.
Yeah, my guess is Kit Fisto.
Oh.
It is not Kit Fisto. But that's really funny that
The
we did
fish
that.
guy.
All right, the
He
fish
protects
guy.
people, and he's a Jedi.
No, his subtitle is the Sochi Master.
So she.
Yeah, whatever.
The
whatever
Jedi
form that is.
Protector?
All right, Chris. All right, so go ahead. You got a chance to steal. Jedi
I'm stealing
Protector.
on Jedi Protector.
Yeah.
I'm really not sure. I'm gonna say Barris.
It is not Barris. Good
She's
guess.
like screwed the Jedi.
Bob, you
Uh.
got a chance to steal here.
Who protected the Jedi?
Throw it back around.
Oh, you don't get another guess.
Give me a shot.
for guessing fish guy, you should be out for next
It's
round,
probably
too.
Plo Koon.
Why?
I think it is Plo Koon, dude.
Well, should I just say Plo Koon and just?
No,
eat
you
the
can't.
Scraps?
Sorry.
Bob, come on. Who is it?
All right, I'll say Plo Koon. Eat the scraps.
It is Plo Koon.
Oh.
Hey, thanks, guys.
Jesus, that's ridiculous.
so-
it should have been the fish
We've
guy.
we've actually spoon fed Bob 2 answers because
Yeah.
I got the first one on my own.
Bob said Lor
reacted-
Santeca
I
and Ryan
reacted.
jumped out of his pants.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's pretty good.
I reacted real quick.
I'll take that.
Okay. So Chris
I
gets
lost
the
because of
last.
that.
Chris gets the last card. If he gets it right, it's no questions. He wins.
Or Bob
But
could
if
tie.
Bob
No questions
steals,
asked.
if
No, Bob can win and I can tie. Oh, wait, no,
No,
Chris
you're-
has 3.
Yeah, so if Bob steals this, it goes to a tie for first, and we'll do a bonus round. All right, Chris.
Okay,
The
okay,
subtitle
okay.
is Bombastic Ruler.
Oh wow.
Boss Nass.
Yeah.
Boss
It is
Nass.
Boss Nass.
That's
It is.
easy.
Yeah.
It is
Easy
Boss
cheese.
Nass.
Yeah, that was kind of an easy one, but I'll take that one on a platter.
I mean,
Yeah, we should
The
do
Boombas.
this game again. We should revisit this one in the future.
This was a good game.
well,
Yeah,
you know what?
Infinite,
We could go
infinite level.
format. That would be insane.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
So
The
that
only
is.
one I got was Bib Fortuna. Major Domo, baby.
Yeah, I'm looking the definition of that up.
I don't
when
know
this
how the heck
podcast
you
is
knew
over.
that one.
I'm telling you guys. All right. Jim, thank you as always for hosting that segment.
Nice job, Jim.
Shout out to that was kind of before the show. Just ironically, Chris was asking us to name characters based off their subtitle, and I said, "Wait a minute, stop what you're doing. This is a great idea."
This is
There it is.
this is the Trabeck game. Sign up.
Yeah.
And there it is.
All right, folks. Well, that about wraps us up for episode 5. As always, please leave a message or comment if you guys have found success with anything that we've talked about. If you have any opinions about any of the plots or Nova or any observations that you might have made since then. We did talk about a lot of stuff, so please let us know what you guys think. We'd love to hear your ideas. If you like the podcast, please take a look at our other videos that we've posted on our YouTube channel. We've got a ton of in real life games. We've got a ton of other things that you guys can find. It's great for not only veterans, but also people that are just getting into the game. But as always, thank you for listening, and Loth-Wolf Pack out.